Darren Rovell with Collect TV, and we're here with our Ben Burrows, and we had a hot story over the weekend, a flaming hot story. As was it a flaming hot Cheeto? I don't know. Maybe
It
it's a,
was. It
it
was.
was, it was. Where a Cheeto that was shaped like Charizard, the Pokemon character, sold for 87,000 and a little bit of change. I've been around the block, and I know that these things happen. I remember in 2001, Luis Gonzalez in spring training spit out a piece of gum near first base, and there was an auction for that piece of gum, and it sold for $10,000. And who did it sell for? Who did it sell to? It sold to Kurt Mueller of Quench Gum because he wanted to use that as an opportunity to talk about Quench Gum. And these things over time, I feel like, does someone really want the Cheeto for $87,000? No, but they're going to use it as a device to get publicity because talking about that, as someone who owns the Hugh Hefner Viagra pill bottle myself, talking about that is the vehicle to talking about something else that they want you to talk about. Ben, could you believe that someone would really want this aside from the attention?
I really can't. It's my first thought, honestly, Darren, was this has got to be Frito-Lay buying this, which I'm skeptical of. I just don't know why they would do that. The reason I'm
Can't
skeptical
they
that
make their own?
I saw people asking that too. I saw people asking, I wonder if Frito-Lay can manipulate the market. Could they make another Pikachu related one? Could
They
could
should have
they
a chase. They should have a chase. They don't even need licensing.
exactly? They could just have, these Chase Cheetos put into different packs and it becomes a whole big thing. But realistically, the reason I don't understand this is, and the reason that I don't think it's a legitimate Pokemon collector is I posted this right after it sold. It sold for more than the last three sales of a 1999 Charizard First Edition Shadowless PSA 10 combined. Those cards are some of the nicest, most coveted cards in Pokemon collecting, and
Wait, the
it's
last three combined,
the last
they
three
sold for
combined.
like $25,000 each.
Yeah, about I
Right.
think it was one was about 25,000 and then two were about 19.5. And those are legitimately Grail cards. Those are some of the best cards in the history of Pokemon. And that's why I think if it was a legitimate Pokemon collector, they could put that money into some really incredible cards and it wouldn't make sense.
I did think that they deserved a lot of credit by making it look like a Pokemon card and the case. I mean,
Yes.
let's just call a spade a spade. It's about a $200 display. But good job by them because it made it look like it was at least professional. But if you look at the history of this type of stuff, the something that looks like Jesus, the food that looks like whatever, like these are $1,000 to $2,000 items. How much do you think it had to do with it being in Goldin? Did that legitimize it that a legit auction house had it for
Yeah, and
50K?
it almost makes me think that someone that is casually collecting Pokemon or pop culture stuff saw this item with a big time legitimate auction house and almost did it as a joke, right? They if this was on eBay, I don't think it gets nearly as much as it did. And part of me almost thinks that it got bid up so high as a joke, that someone with a bunch of disposable money came in and decided that they had to get this item. If it's in a different auction house, I don't think they really care. Leading up to it, I think there was a ton of coverage about how shocking the prices already were. I think that fed into it too. Our first story said it was at 2,500 bucks, right? I think that just ended up feeding into it. And if it sells somewhere else, I don't think it does nearly as much.
Last question. Do you think the value of getting something quirky and crazy today is worth more than it was back then? Because obviously, in this news cycle that we have, which is everything is hopped up on dopamine in the way every 2 seconds there's something crazier than the next. Back in 2000, you could say, okay, it doesn't really, it's the internet. Back in 2010, you could have said it's Twitter. And now it seems like you're in this new noise. So do you think buying this allows you to get to a good level, or do you think that it's worthless compared to the past because, you know, Trump's going to say there's a Bitcoin reserve, and then you're just not going to be able to play into the news cycle.
I think it's just very different. And I think a lot of what probably drove this, in my opinion, is the want now with so many new collectors coming into the space. We see this with trading cards with our more one of ones than ever. I think people just inherently want something that nobody else has, right? And there's been a bunch
Right,
of
because one of ones come with rainbow one of ones, and
exactly.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so, regardless, at least right now, there is no other Charizard shaped Cheeto in a special custom holder out there. So I think the price is insane, but at least for now, this collector can say, I own something that nobody else owns. It's a weird thing to want to be able to say that, but they can say that no matter what.
Well, if anyone wants to buy for $87,000, and I can confirm this is heading south right now. This is a 1976, the oldest known sealed Twinkie, still sealed. If you guys want this, $87,000, Ben or whoever listening here, it is yours. Just drop me a DM on Instagram, and this will be yours for 87,000.
I'll just take it from your office next time I'm in town.
There you go. Darren Rovell with Ben Burrows talking about the fabulous $87,000 sale of the Cheetozard.